Hello everyone, this is Pandian Velayutham, Director of Engineering from MEDHOST. We will be discussing about how are we expanding our solution to the rural America with working with AWS. We will go through this agenda today, and MEDHOST has been in EHR market. We are primarily EHR vendor. We are in market for more than 35 years because we are 35-year-old company. We have legacy solution and also cloud solution. We have 600 plus employees and we serve more than 1,000 plus hospitals within America. Our solutions cater towards multi-facility corporate, like corporate which has got more than 100 and 200 or 200 facilities, and also our solution cater towards community health systems like a general acute care systems with who has full service community with the inpatient, outpatient, and then OR, ED, all of them. And then we also have a software for inpatient behavioral health, long-term and post-acute care hospitals as well. What are the industry challenges with healthcare currently? So you all might have heard about 21st Century Cures Act, which is a mandatory for the EHR vendor to meet. What does this mean? This is mainly for making sure that the patient gets their own data. You might have heard about meaningful use 1, 2, and 3. As part of meaningful use 1, we wanted to have all the healthcare records in an electronic format. 2, we want that data to be available to the patient through a patient portal. And then 3, we want that to be expanded as a not only for the patient, we want government wanted us to expand that to for our patients as a API solution. So we are getting into the 21st Century Cures Act. Now, patient is in charge of their health records. When we say health records, it's not only their healthcare data, even the financial data, they own it. So that data needs to be available through the API. That's what 21st Century Cures Act is mandating. What does this do? Because of this, the API provides multiple opportunities. It provides patient to access this data through any third-party applications, any third-party mobile application, any third-party web application. It opens up the door for the patient to consume their data in different way. So some of the things we need to do as part of this 21st Century Cures Act, one is we need to provide an API with a single sign-on. That was not part of the MU3, so this is something new. And this API has to be openly available, and anyone should be able to consume this API as a documentation, start developing an application, and consume the data as well. Any third party system can develop an application. So this API has to be available for that. So when I say openly available, it has to be available from the documentation side, and also the access to the patient and provider should be available through internet. Next one, access through standards. Now 21st Century Cures Act, for this, we have to support OIDC, which is OpenID Connect for the single sign-on, and Smart on Fire to access the data in a standard way. So this has to be implemented. As part of MU3, this was not the case, but we have to implement. Okay, so we need to do this 21st Century Cures Act. So these are the challenges. Why this is a challenge? We'll go to that. This is huge burden on hospital IT. Hospital IT, most of these hospitals I'm talking about, these are all rural hospitals where they do not have a strong IT presence. There might be 1 or 2 person working on the IT. That person has to handle from taking care of entire IT infrastructure within the hospital, even the laptop, desktop, mobile phones, everything, along with installing the software and keeping up with the software. This is going to be really hard for them to do it. Imagine that they have to open up a port to the internet and they have to secure that. That's going to be really hard. So security becomes a major concern for that, because they have to manage this. And the infrastructure they have, within the hospital or even the data center closer to them is not designed to handle this kind of requirement. And as you can see that when I went through those list of items, you can quickly relate that to the expensive management, right? This is not going to stop here. Currently, we have to support one version of Fire, and it has to be only the read-only version of API. But going forward, it is going to get expanded. So it's going to be really expensive for the IT department to or hospital to manage this going forward. So moving on to the next one, how are we solving that? So I said MEDHOST Fire solution. It's basically API. Fire is for fast health interoperability request, and that's what we are discussing about. So what are we trying to do here? So MEDHOST is going to utilize Fireworks on AWS. This is an open source solution come up with AWS. We started discussing this APIs with our AWS partners and see that, hey, this is something coming up, and AWS came back and said that, yes, we are aware of that, and we are going to work on this open source version, and that is available in the open source market. We are consuming that. That's what we are going to use it as a solution. Why we selected that? Because it is a reference implementation of Fire. So that's what we wanted. And that satisfies our Cures Act mandate. And then it is a serverless solution. So we can scale that for multiple hospitals. We have like thousands of facilities utilizing our services. So we need to have the scalable solution. And it also needs to be cost effective. So we can install this solution for individual hospital as a separate solution, but that's going to be really difficult to manage. So we need to have a multi-tenant approach as a cost-effective solution. So when we started discussing with the AWS team, we found that was not the intention of that open source version, but we had to have that multi-tenant. So we started implementing on top of that open source solution. So right now we are collaborating with the AWS team. We have weekly call going on with working with technical team, directly development team, and trying to implement this solution for us. And this is shaping up really, really well. So this solution is going to be a great solution for anyone who wants to have like a single tenant, multi-tenant with a Fire reference implementation. This is a great solution. We are looking for open source contribution from the community. So if you are interested, you can reach out to us and start contributing to that. We are willing to work any of you to implement and shape up this solution. With that, I'm moving on to the reference architecture. I just started with what is the industry challenge and how are we solving, and I also touched upon our software being a 35 years old software. So all those things comes together in this picture. So you can see here on the left side, this picture is with color coded and also with the numbering. So I'm going to go through this numbering and go through that one by one. So on the left side, number one, that is the facility. So that's the data center. I have put 3 different data centers because some of the data centers reside within our MEDHOST itself. We provide a managed solution. In that case, we can run a software for our customer within our data center. That's one type of data center. The second one, our corporate customers. Corporate customers run the software in one data center for multiple hospitals. So that's a second type. The third type, some of the smaller hospitals, they run their software on their own, and that is also possible. So for all the data, what we are trying to do is we are trying to collect that data using CDC, change data capture from the application, and try to push that, stream that to the cloud. So you can see that 1 to 2, that's where the data is getting collected and pushed to the cloud. That's a huge Kafka cluster where we want this multi-tenant support within one single Kafka cluster. The data comes in. Once the data comes in, that's where the transform and load happens. So you can see that 2 is collecting the data, and then 3, that's where the data gets persisted into a DynamoDB. So This 3 is like a Kinesis analytics solution where we get the data, we split that, and then directly make that data into Amazon DynamoDB. You can see that that goes to number 6. So I'll talk about that center part where number 4, 5, 6, and 7, that is our Fireworks solution. Currently, that is the open source version we are using. You can see Lambda is used as a API solution. So we are bypassing the Lambda and directly going to the DynamoDB because we want a fast way to persist the data from the facility to our DynamoDB for the end user to consume. That's the reason why we are doing. And there are multiple opportunities for us to analyze the data and make sure that this data is persistent in a consistent way, and also this is scalable solution. So we have done a lot of analysis, worked with the AWS team very closely. We have done a data lab to understand different way to do it, and then we concluded on the best way to persist the data. So that's why we were bypassing the Lambda and directly going to a DynamoDB. From there, you can see that the DynamoDB, you can see 2 items from the right and left side of DynamoDB, that is 5 and 6. 5 is used as a S3. So all the data, like a binary data, which gets stored into S3 as an object store. And then Amazon Elasticsearch is used as our indexing engine. Basically, that's the one, because we cannot come up with the read pattern, right? Access pattern. We had to put that into Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch provides that option of, even though you don't know the access pattern, you can go to this Elasticsearch to do a search and then get a corresponding record from the DynamoDB. That's the only reason we have to do this Elasticsearch. You can see the arrow between 6 and 7. So we use DynamoDB stream to get the data and push that into Elasticsearch. There is a Lambda in between. I've not put that here, but there is a processing happens. I don't want to complicate this picture. That's why you don't see that, but that's how the data gets into Elasticsearch. And then we'll start from the right side, from the mobile client. That's the user, whether it is a patient or provider. They can start their interaction from a mobile device or desktop device. In this case, let's assume the mobile device, right? So their mobile device directly connects to Amazon API gateway. So like I said, this has to be available through the internet. So we are making this available from the cloud directly for this mobile application. It comes to the gateway, and then gateway sends that information to Lambda. Lambda gets that information, gets the actual data, healthcare data from the DynamoDB or Elasticsearch based on if it is a search or direct lookup, and sends that back to the mobile. So that part is mobile interaction. You can see that number 11, where we have a security service. That is our OIDC service, OAuth server. This is important for us because, as I said in the earlier discussion, we need to support OIDC for single sign-on with OAuth. So that's why you have that solution. That is our own OAuth server. The good part about Fireworks is it does not mandate you what kind of identity or authentication or authorization server you are going to use. You can use any server. In our case, it's our own service. And then we'll go to the bottom where developer interacts through the developer portal. This is the part I mentioned where we need to provide the API documentation for the developer so that they can consume it and then create an app. So that's the part where we use Amazon RDS and portal. And then the left side, we go to 13, 14, 15, and 16. That is our analytical solution built on top of this Fire solution. You can see that we use a glue to collect the data from Fireworks and push the data to Amazon Redshift. And also we put that into S3 for our data lake purpose. That data is used in Amazon SageMaker for our model tuning and also making that AI available. And then QuickSight is used for our analytical solution for dashboarding for the end user. So providers uses the QuickSight to consume that. So I have discussed a lot of things here, and you see one arrow going from row 11 to 1. That is a authentication. We still keep the authentication from the facility. So we have a way to proxy that and get that authentication done. Two other points I want to discuss here. One is Health Lake on the right side at the bottom of that. You see that is a AWS real new service for Health Lake for health fire data, persistent fire data, and it provides an option to enrich the data. So we have played with that, and this is our long-term solution where we want to put the data into Health Lake, from Health Lake take it to analytical solution. So we have done a data lab there. So that blue line going from DynamoDB to Health Lake is one. We did a data lab, and that was very useful. And then the second one, at some point, we want to take this data writable to the facility. So that blue arrow, that also we have done a POC or demo, but that is coming up. That is not part of our initial solution. Initial solution is the other one. So that's about reference architecture. So I'm going to move on to the next one. I talked about the multi-tenancy, where MEDHOST is contributing towards multi-tenancy for our customer. This is the solution where we have decided to divide the data by tenant. So each tenant has their own DynamoDB table, and the data goes there. From there, streaming goes to the Elasticsearch. That's how we are doing. This is very simple approach, and this scales really well. If you have any suggestion, you can come bring that to us, and then we will be willing to work with you in case if you want to enhance this multi-tenant solution. So I talked a lot about our partnership when I was going through the technical side, and initially, what are the things we have done? MEDHOST is a AWS technology partner, and we have closely worked with AWS on multiple data labs, which helped us to create a prototype quickly and then implement a solution quickly. One of the things is we have done an AI pipeline for our solution. You have seen that little bit in the diagram. We have done that pipeline like a 4-day session that helped us to design that. And then for this entire queues design, we had a separate session. We worked closely with AWS, came up with the design. AWS brought up a lot of experts that helped us to design our solution properly. And also recently we have an Amazon DynamoDB data lab. That is very important because going forward, we are going to use this NoSQL solution. So we need to have a deeper understanding of that solution. This helped us to design that Health Lake integration and also going the data back to the facility. We were able to implement within 3 days, and that was a very successful session. What other things we are doing? We have a great collaboration going with AWS development team on Firewalls and Health Lake, and we have started working on any of the Alexa as a next part as well. So I have discussed about our partnership, but because of this solution, Firewalk solution, what are the benefits? The main benefit is to our patient, right? Rural healthcare patients are getting benefited because of that. They are able to own the data. Truly, they can get the data anytime they want. And they are able to get the real-time data. When they are within the hospital, where if they are an inpatient, they want to see the latest vitals, they can go to the app and open it. It should provide them a real-time data. What other advantages? The provider gets a lot of advantage here. So it increases the interoperability. You are able to share the data freely, easily to other provider. And also the patient engagement gets increased, right? Patient gets the data quickly. Patient is able to communicate to the provider quickly. Provider is able to see the same data. This helps the provider and patient interaction more streamlined. And then there are lot of modern smartphone applications coming up into the market because of this solution. A lot of them started working on that. We would see that innovation happening a lot and lots in this area. And this opens up a choice for the hospital as well. They can get some of the innovative solution on top of this Firewalks and then bring that to their hospital and then provide a better care to our patient. It is a secured solution. It's a standard secured solution. So there is no fear of, okay, I'm bringing in this software, what else it can do? There is no fear of that because it is a standard. It is developed on standard, and your hospitals can have a freedom to move from one vendor to another vendor because of that. Finally, it meets regulatory requirements. Regulatory requirement is the mandatory thing, but that is not the only advantage here. The advantage is patient and providers are getting a lot of advantages. So with that, I have concluded my presentation. So these are the exciting things we are currently working on, and our collaboration with AWS is going well. We will continue to innovate and implement solution and provide a solution for our rural America. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, I'm in LinkedIn, and if you want to connect with me, you can connect with me through LinkedIn. Thank you.